warm welcome to Bharata First. You're watching Big Picture with me, Frank Rausen Pereira. First, let me inform you about Bharata First Knowledge Center, an initiative that will help each one of you in your competitive exams and transform the way you learn. We have started international relations, Indian art and culture classes, as well as several other short courses, and they have all had a phenomenal response. There is so much more that we have to offer at the Knowledge Center. You too can be a part of this incredible journey. Go to our website kc.bharatafirst.com for more details and register now. The introductory offer ends on the 31st of July, so this is your last chance to avail of the Knowledge Center's offering at these rates. So do so now. Since you're here, I would like to thank you for your continued support. For those of you who haven't already subscribed, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then all notifications. Do subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive content as well. The Bharata First team runs a Big Picture quiz. Please participate by going through the description in Big Picture videos. If you like the content, please contribute to keep it alive. It's very important. The links are in the description. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description of the video. Please go through it. And now on to the discussion. The Assam government earlier this month tabled the Cattle Preservation Bill 2021, which proposes the sale of beef only at designated places, restricting any kind of sale in areas resided by non-beef eating communities. According to the bill, no person shall directly sell or offer or expose for sale or buy beef products in any form except at places permitted to do so by the competent authority. Apart from restricting the transportation of cows and buffaloes, the bill seeks to ban the sale of beef within a 5-kilometer radius of any temple or religious institution of communities that do not consume beef. Meanwhile, the Congress in Meghalaya has asked the Conrad K Sangma government to come up with a law to counter Assam's Cattle Protection Bill of 2021. Beef is part of the diet in some Christian majority northeastern states, primarily Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Nagaland. Geography makes these states depend on the transportation of most food items through Assam, the gateway to the rest of the country. In this edition of Big Picture, we will analyze the Assam Cow Protection Bill of 2021. Joining me on the program today are Sparsh Upadhyay, Special Legal Correspondent of Live Law, and Suhash Chakma, Director, Rights and Risks Analysis Group. Thank you to both my guests for joining me on this edition of Big Picture. Suhash Chakma, let me start the program with you first. And let's have a broader discussion and just not limit this discussion to Assam. The peg, of course, is the Assam bill. But how would you look at this issue of cow protection versus food habits?
See, I think the most strange things about the whole cow protection bill in Assam, that it has forgotten its own history. You know, Assam at one point of time had Nagaland, Mizoram, and Meghalaya as its own states, which became separate after the reorganization of the states in 1972. And one of the reasons why these states became separate from Assam, because of the fact that the grudge of the tribal communities, that the mainstream Assamese did not consider the integrity, identity of the tribal populations. So they became separate. And today you are actually repeating the same history on the tribal populations in the northeast, in Assam. Say, of course, you could refer to cow protection, majority of the Hindus. Please remember that some of the tribal communities are actually Hindus, but they have no problem eating beef. You could tell them beef eating Hindus. That's the case with the Bodo community and lots of other tribal groups. So how are you going to enforce it? I think the key issue in this is that Assam doesn't want to focus on what concerns the state as far as the governance are concerned, and you want to focus continuously one after the other and bring this particular bill. And how are you going to enforce it? And if you look at the bill, say for example, within a 5-kilometer radius where majority community lives, or the people belonging to Hindu, Sikh, and Jain faith live, you cannot sell beef. Now, for a Jain, killing is a, it's a pap, like the Buddhist. So you are not supposed to kill any animal, forget about the cow. So why are you including the Jains? And what is the Jain dominated area in Assam? And when you say this is the dominated area, you will not be able to sell beef. Have you notified the area? Is it the Thana? Is it a block? It's a district? What is it all about? So that definition is not given. So you could basically prosecute anybody for selling that beef. Even a district which is a Muslim majority or tribal majority, tomorrow you could say, oh, it's neighboring to another district which is a Hindu majority. So the way you have drafted the bill, and I do not think you are concerned about protection of any animal. It has more to do with polarization, how you want to influence people's mindset from one issue to the other, and people, as you guys rightly saying, people buy it, and it's unfortunate. At the end of the day, this is not the way I think one could protect the cows. And when I roam around in Delhi, when I look at the cows in and around Delhi, and I have a question: who is protecting the cows despite the constitutional guarantee? You roam around in West Delhi, where I stay. I mean, you could find so many cows on the street, and this is an animal to be protected as far as the directive principles of the state policy. What are you talking about? You could show that the state itself, starting with the Union of India, is not concerned about the protection of the cows. Then you bring this issue as if you are more concerned than the others. I don't think it has anything to do with cow protection. It has more to do with how do you distract attention, or how do you actually, shift the goalpost from what was earlier and what is today.
Right. Sparsh Upadhyay, let me bring you into the picture now. How do you look at this issue from a legal perspective, and what are the key points?
Sir, I think the bill is has been named as the Cattle Preservation Bill, but it sort of does not do more about preservation. It is more related to controlling trade activities, it controlling the food habits, as Chakma sir has said, and it is more to do with the trade barriers that has been put in the. So if you see, if us Assam has been a source of beef products for other states or for other neighboring states like Mizoram, Manipur, now uh, you are restricting those people from getting these products from Assam, because a bill has been passed and because certain restrictions have been framed. So it the bill has implications if we to other in respect of other states as well. Also, there it is more on the point of regulating the economic activity of the traders, of the businessmen who are already doing this business. And I think DPSP, it in the bill preamble says that DPSP article 48 of the constitution, in consonance of article 48 of the Constitution of India, it aims to bring such a bill. But if you see, in a sense, it is giving dominance to DPSP if we compare to the fundamental of right to trade and all those things. So that is a very problematic point, that how can you give precedence to DPSP if we compare to the fundamental activity, fundamental right. Also, sir, if we see that police has been given the power to enter a building, to seize products of, or it finds that something illegal has been happening, which is against this bill. So this is also quite problematic. Like, also there is a provision wherein it says that the people who are absconding, their name could be published. These are not related to the preservation of cattle. These are nowhere related to cattle preservation. It more sort of penalizes people who are into the business of beef selling and all those things. Also, as Chakma sir has already said, that if even if we put a stone at a particular place and call it a temple, so temple definition has not been clarified in the bill. And suppose tomorrow a stone suddenly appears that yes, this place is being revered by the majority community or the Hindus or Sikhs, and now this area could be called a temple. Now within 5 kilometers, you cannot sell beef products. Now, there is not a single place. If you roam around any place in India, there is not a single place where there is no temple or there is no religious place in the locality. So it in the sense it indirectly trying to control the brief consumption and all those things. And I do not see it as a legally sound bill.
Okay. All
Yes,
right. Swaz Chakma, coming back to you now. The strange thing is how other states are reacting to this. In the Northeast itself, we've seen Congress ruled states coming out and saying that they're going to come out with a counter bill. So, like you mentioned in your opening remark, clearly it looks like politics, and the political parties are toying with the citizens of the country. Sentiments are running high, and the people too are falling for this.
Well, as I said, Assam is surrounded by all beef eating states of India. You go to Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram, Tripura to some extent, and Meghalaya, Sikkim, West Bengal. In all these states, you have, people eating beef for a long period of time. And in fact, when Rajnath Singh was Home Minister, he went to visit Mizoram. It was the Mizo civil society organizations to protest against him. They organized a beef party. Now, the question is tomorrow, you could say that, there are some people who belong to a particular religion and they don't like pork, it's haram. So, should that also be banned? Now, if pork cannot be banned, then can other things be banned? I think so. The key point in this issue is I think Assam is, in a way, isolating itself from the Northeast because the majority people in other states they identify themselves with what they eat and how they identify themselves. So today, if you look at Assam, Assam is facing uh, serious border disputes. It almost has with every state, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, and these have not been resolved for a long time. And tomorrow, don't be surprised if the other religious organizations also come behind it because they want to confront the Hindu state of Assam. Uh, whether we like or not, religion is a feature which is very dominant in India. It's dominant also among the groups in Northeast India, and people in these states they identify with their own religion. So, if the majority of the states they themselves identify as Christian majority states, and they believe that the Hindutva ideologies are being imposed on them, it can have serious consequences. So, it will not remain restricted to Assam only. Assam has to realize that the Northeast consists of 8 states. So, in a way, it is in the center of all these states. So, Sikkim, Meghalaya, and all other states. So, if your relationship or trade activities with the neighboring states are affected, I am quite sure there will be serious problems because uh, even though Assam has bigger police force, you are not being able to threaten or intimidate the Mizo police. And Mizoram police, Nagaland police, and all the states, if you arrest some of their people by invoking this law, you will have serious interested problems. And my own view is that within these states, because the tribal communities, the Northeast eat beef, how are you going to control it? How are you going to control it? So maybe a particular religious group who are not indigenous to the North in Assam or are not seen to be indigenous to the North, they might be affected. But this law, there will be serious problems if you enforce it in Bodoland, if you enforce in Karbi Anglong, when all the district council areas, if you enforce it, there will be serious problems. I mean, you cannot enforce it. I would say it is very, very difficult and problematic to enforce it. So enforcement also will always be selective, and nobody knows better than the person who is bringing the bill.
Hmm. Right, right. So Sparsh Upadhyay, coming back to you now.
Yes, sir.
As far as this issue is concerned, is it going to hold water in a court of law? What is the law state about this particular, the consumption of beef and the ban on cattle trade as well? And what about the sentiment of the majority people?
Okay. So add to what Chakma sir said, that the recent trend has been that government or the ruling body comes up with an idea on its own and without deliberation on it, among the people. It just imposes a particular idea. So this bill is kind of an idea which must have been in the mind of certain people only, and out of blue you are saying to people that now this thing should not be, we are restricting these activities, we are restricting your eating habits and all those things. So there should be on this issue. There should have been deliberations on this issue as to whether such a thing should be in place or not. Also, this bill will have an interstate trade problems also, because in the sense that, as Chakma sir has also said, and in my opening remark I also made it very clear that the majority, the neighboring states of Assam see Assam as a source of beef products. And if you are restricting interstate movement of beef and the products, then it how in a way that you are bringing a particular law for your own state, but it has implication on other states as well. So I think Manipur's CM has raised this issue that they will go and talk to the center about this issue, because it is going to have a serious implication on Manipur and other neighboring states also. Also, there is no differentiation between cows and buffaloes and ox and all those things. So like if we talk about Rajasthan, and I'm not sure about another state, there is another state also which has clearly demarcated that only the cows cannot be slaughtered. Other than cows, other beef products could be sold. Now we have seen, not bringing political deliberations here, but we have seen how the ruling government there been opposing the cow slaughter and eating of beef in Uttar Pradesh and in other Rajasthan and all those states. But in northeast eastern states, it has already always said that we will give the people the liberty to have whatever they want to eat, whatever they want to have. So now bringing this bill in place, it is kind of imposing that now this is an idea, you have to adhere to it no matter how. And when you do not go into the roots of the sentiments of the people, then such a law will not be able to we cannot imagine that such a bill can be implemented ever, enforceable ever in the state, as Chakma sir has already said. And I'm not sure about what the courts will have to say about it, but I see as very prima facie, if we can see that there is some unreasonable restrictions that have been imposed on trading activities of people, economic activities on people in the state, where majority of people are dependent on this on selling beef products and all. It is not a very good choice. We have this example of Nagaland, where the dog meat was banned in particular area of Nagaland. The court had stayed the operation of the notification which had restricted the sale of the dog meat, because it noted that people have been eating dog there, people have been into a profession, and this would directly infringe upon their right to sell this dog meat and all those things. And it would also have implication on people's eating habit. So that notification was stayed by the Guwahati High Court, uh, I think around 5-6 months back. I'm not sure, but it has been stayed. And similarly, this could also be stayed if this goes into the court of law.
Absolutely. All right, time to get closing comments from my panelists now with the best way forward and what needs to be done as we go into the future. Are we going to see more of this, or what is the best way forward, Suhas Chakma?
So the best way is forward is people want development. You want to be at par with the development, and you are taking back, 50 years or 100 years or 200 years back. So the politicians who come to power on the premise that, they want to take India forward, then you take actually country backward. It doesn't happen. In in the past, a Hindu temple in the Middle East was unthinkable. And it was Modiji himself who went and opened the temple in UAE. People are changing their views, to progressively move. And the state cannot move backward, because if you move backward, you will end up dividing. And I don't know how the court will react, but I would presume that even if this law is to be allowed by the court, then you have to define what is a majority area of the Hindus, Sikhs, and Jains as provided in the law, apart from temple. The moment you define the people that this is a majority area, this is a majority area, you are creating segregation. You are creating apartheid. You are identifying people based on their eating habits, not even religious habits. And that can only destroy a society, because legally you are dividing people. And this is not something which is required for positive discrimination like reservation. So that certain category of people could come to the same level as the majority community. You are not talking or taking that kind of an initiative. So when you take measures which divides people, I think the consequences would be very different. And enforcement of the law, I think the first arrest under this text would require to define an area which is a majority area consisting of the Hindus, Sikhs, and Jains. And if you do not do that, then obviously the law cannot be invoked, because the premise of the offense actually starts with identifying the area. And South Africa has given up apartheid. Why are you introducing through the back door? And why do only mention these four communities? There are also Buddhists in Assam. The list is endless. That's not the solution. I think the state, the political leadership, they should take measures which unites people and doesn't segregate or puts people into the compartments, boxes, and etc. And I think this is possibly the most divisive law I have seen, because there are so many laws for protection of cows across the country, but none of these acts define that this is a majority area, so you cannot do it. And the moment you do it, and what is the basis, which censors or what this one. So I think it's extremely unfortunate. I think the key issue of the problems between the Muslim minorities and other communities, Assam, it has been about land. People who are not protesting against their religious habits. So it's more about land. And you are trying to digress from that because you are not able to address the issue of land. So that is why, we have this problem, because ultimately the last point which I want to say is that you have given PM's Kishan Yojana benefits to so many people in Assam who do not qualify. How are you going to recover that money? So the priorities of these states are completely wrong. And I think the most fearful aspect for any citizen of any country is division of the citizens, demarcation of the boundaries, as if the state boundaries are not enough. Now we are going to define the entire state based on eating habits of the people or religious beliefs. I think that's absolutely contrary to the constitution of this country, and that's why I think it will have a tough time. You cannot segregate based on religion.
Absolutely. All right. And Sparsh Upadhyay, close the show for us with your concluding remarks.
Yeah, so sir, I think The precedence that has been given to DPSP is on the face of it not sound. And I think Chakma sir, as Chakma sir had already said, that if it will go in the court, there has to be some clarification that has to be brought in the act. But I think as the law stands right now, it is a bill. I mean, it will be changed in future course. But as it stands right now, even that will not stand the legal scrutiny, because it has certain unreasonable restrictions that have been placed, like sir said. And it should not focus more on economic activities. If the aim is to preserve cows, if the aim is to give them a better treatment, there should be only one section is there which talks about this preservation. There is no other section which talks about, there are only penalties and restrictions and what you cannot do. All those things have been discussed in the bill, but what the government intends to do for the preservation, it has not been mentioned anywhere, except for the one section that the goshalas
Gausalas.
will be established. So I don't think that it is going to benefit cows in that way. It is only going to regulate the eating habits of people. And we are in a country where NIA and all those bodies are appointed to establish as to whether a person had eaten beef, or he had consumed other like chicken or something else. So this is a very problematic act, and it does not surprise us also. So yeah, let's wait and watch if what other states would do about it. So that has to be seen, sir.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. What's coming out of this discussion is that there are several cattle protection bills across the country, but Assam's bill is the most controversial and the most difficult one to enforce. Assam's geographical location is also of importance here, considering it is surrounded by beef-eating states of the Northeast. The bill will have a direct impact on cattle trade and thereby affect the neighboring states. The other northeastern states have already raised concerns. Also, the bill does not clearly define areas where cattle has to be preserved, which could lead to problems later. Only one section of the bill talks of cattle protection in the form of gaushalas. The rest of it is about penalties and coercion, taking away the essence of the move. Well, before I go, let me once again inform you about Bharata First Knowledge Center, an initiative that will help each one of you in your competitive exams and transform the way you learn. We have started international relations and Indian art and culture classes along with several short courses, and all of them have had a phenomenal response. You too can be a part of this incredible journey. Go to our website kc.bharatafirst.com for more details and register now. The introductory offer ends on the 31st of July, so this is your last chance to get the offerings of the Knowledge Center at this rate. Do so now. Since you're here, I would like to thank you once again for your continued support. For those of you who haven't already subscribed, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then click on all notifications. Do subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive content. The Bharata First team runs a big picture quiz. Please participate by going through the description in big picture videos. If you like the content, please contribute to keep it alive. It is very important. Payment links are in the description of this video. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description. Please go through it. That's it from me. See you again next time.